though. We're sitting 0-1 week.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Furman Football Weekly with head coach Clay Hendricks. Paladins coming off of the 47-40 win over Western Carolina here at Paladin Stadium on Saturday. Now 5-2 overall, 3-1 in the Southern Conference, and going back on the road this weekend for a 1:30 kickoff Saturday at VMI. We'll give you all the broadcast info coming up at the end of our session today. Just a couple of reminders in case you did not see yesterday. Furman had two players of the week in the SoCon. Dominic Roberto, the offensive player of the week, and he was also the FCS National Offensive Player of the Week. And Matt Sachovka was the special teams player of the week for the Paladins. As always, I'll ask Coach Clay Hendricks to begin with an opening statement, and then today my broadcast partner, Tom Van Hoy, will get the honor of asking the first question. Coach?
Okay, obviously, again, thank you for being here. Certainly happy to be 5-2, I guess 3-1 in the conference, and here in late October playing meaningful games in our conference, and that's what we want to be able to do. Certainly happy to get a win. I thought we did a lot of really good things throughout the game. One of our better days, I thought, offensively. Obviously did some really good things special teams wise, and I think probably, didn't have our best day defensively. And then I think, with the exception certainly of the fourth quarter wasn't how you wanted it to go. Certainly disappointed in that. And, we talk around here sometimes about catastrophic mistakes, and we had a couple of those. And we had a couple on both sides of the ball, really. Even when you look at offensively, the turnover that we had, and they would have used their last time out. I think the game probably would have ended down there somewhere, and then even the throwaway at the end of the game before we kicked the field goal, and then certainly giving up the big plays. So, but I think if we'll approach this the right way, which we have, I think this will be a good learning experience for us, both as a staff. You go back and look, what would you have done different? I don't know a lot that I would really have changed call-wise. I think what we've got to learn as a football team, playing a really talented group, and I think for some reason in the fourth quarter we treated them as if they all of a sudden became a lot more talented than we were, and we just kind of quit doing the things that we have to do at Furman to be successful and win football games. And it wasn't for lack of effort, physicality, any of that, but just from an execution standpoint, we did do a very good job, and certainly made it. We didn't want to finish that way, but again, we celebrated that one. That's a really good win for us, and we're excited to go play, a really good VMI team at their place, and a day later, so we're already into it. Normally we do this on Monday, but it's Tuesday, so we'll go out there and we need to have great practice. Tuesday and Wednesday are big time work days for us, and we need to do that and get ready to go play again. But with that, questions.
And, Coach, before we let Tom ask the question, I failed to introduce our two player guests today, linebacker Bryce McCormick and offensive lineman Pearson Toomey. With that, Mr. Van Hoy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, and Dan, I'll say this. Obviously, these two guys, Bryce was our player of the week on defense for us, had a really good day, and then certainly, Dom having the day he had, and I think even offensively, Pearson and the group actually made the whole offensive line one of the players of the week. I thought they had a heck of a day. I think they played really well all year, and we'll continue to have to play well there down the stretch.
Coach, does the offensive approach change depending on who you play? Sanford, 38 out of 59 throwing, and 7 out of 10 for 3 touchdowns, which you'll take?
Well, that one, we threw it because we got behind and we had to. Now, I think you do what you have to do. I do think there's something with games. I think the Citadel game, in my mind, and somebody may not agree with me, but a little bit of that game, the way it went, and we were moving the football, and I felt like it was a possessions type game and limiting their possessions, and I felt like Saturday. I mean, quite frankly, I knew that game wasn't going to be a 14-7 game. Was it 27-20 at the half? And you got in the fourth quarter. We had the ball 11 minutes in the fourth quarter, and take away the fumble, and then kind of the miscue on the last play there. I felt like we had three score lead, and that was 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. I didn't think they could do that in 4 minutes. And, I didn't know we were going to give up an 8-second drive and a 31-second drive and a minute and something, so. But I think it does. I think it changes every week. People defend us a little bit differently. And, we thought, we have 10 throws Saturday. We know we got to throw the football more, and I think we're more than capable of doing that. I think we're just trying to do what we need to do to win games. And again, when you're not the most talented group every week, which we're not going to be, and as I've said, we got guys, we got talent, we got good players, but I knew who we were playing against last Saturday, and you're trying to limit the number of their possessions because I knew they were capable of doing those things. And I think the other thing I told our guys is, credit maybe a bunch of guys that came before them, but we seemed to get everybody's best shot. And that team that played us Saturday looked nothing like the team the week before, even the way they called it, the quarterback running the football. And for about a month, he hadn't wanted to run it, so, I mean, we kind of know that, but it does change from week to week based on who we're playing, a little bit how they're attacking us. And again, we just need to control ourselves.
Coach, obviously you didn't expect them to score that quickly in the fourth quarter, but just can you take me through what did happen in terms of where were the safeties, or is it even a situation?
Well, I mean, we were in a base defense. I mean, we're as base defense as it gets. You know how you hear the same old adage, why they go to a prevent defense, and we were in a base defense, which gives us, I mean, when you're in a base defense, you're trying to prevent deep balls. I don't know if you look at the second one, our corner was 10 yards off the receiver when the ball snapped. 10 yards, you can sit there and drop a bunch of people back there and, all right, they go down there in 3 minutes instead, but certainly we don't give up big plays. But, would you tweak a little bit of a call here and there? Yeah, but, we'd been playing base defense all day. It's a matter of executing, and it's not like we hadn't seen deep balls thrown against us this year. And again, I think a little bit it's our guys having, I don't know, we got in there and all of a sudden we acted like they were some ultra-talented group that we hadn't seen all day. Just keep doing what we do. Do what you've been coached to do. Again, revisiting what we did call-wise, I'm not sure I'd have changed a whole lot. And I think Dwayne and I've talked about it, and same thing. Well, maybe would you have done this? Maybe we had done that. But at the end of the day, we still got to go. We got to go play, and we just didn't execute very well. And I'll say this too. I think probably the disappointing thing for me for the whole day was the lack of pressure. We got on their guy, and the lack of pressure. Obviously didn't get any sacks and didn't have a lot of hits, on the quarterback. And I think that's probably the thing that disappointed me more than anything. And we're better than that, and we got to be better, and we have been. But I don't know. We just I thought we got on our heels a bunch in the fourth quarter and kind of quit attacking. Like that's how we play, and I think that's something we got to do better, certainly going forward.
Coach, I noticed that Jace Wilson was not dressed out on Saturday. Do you have a kind of an update on the quarterback depth chart?
Yeah, Carson Jones is our second quarterback. Jace made the decision right before the Citadel game to redshirt. That's a decision he made, and we've moved on. He had made no indication about leaving other than he wanted to redshirt, and so we found it right before the Citadel game. We've made that move. Carson's we've been prepping all along, and I've been really pleased with his development. Certainly had played, but we certainly think he has a bright future here as well. And so that's the two guys. We got some other guys, but it'll be Tyler and Carson going forward.
VMI has been nothing if not consistent. If you look at their conference games, most of them have been they've lost them, they've been by a similar score. But I noticed one thing that their opponents have fumbled 11 times this year and only lost one. And so that's about, if you look across their stats, that's about the only thing that grabs it. I'm sure it's a matter of, but tell me, I mean, I know that VMI has not run effectively. They have passed pretty effectively. They haven't thrown too many interceptions, but tell me about their team.
Well, I think that, they've got their third offense coordinator in 3 years. Same guy's been in the system, and they've changed a little bit, but I think they're still trying to do. But, right now they had two quarterbacks out. They both are two quarterbacks out. They both played a bunch, and I don't know if one of them's going to play this week or not. But certainly we all understand how that affects you. Some years the old ball just doesn't bounce quite your way. I tell you this, they're placed a little bit like us. That it's hard to keep kids there beyond graduation. He's got a bunch of really good players that have played for them the last couple of years. They're playing for other teams right now. I mean, a bunch of them that I'm sure they'd love to have had. They've had some injuries, even at some other spots. But I just think it's a little bit of the how the year has kind of gone, and they're certainly a capable group. Go down to Chattanooga last week with a true freshman that really had not played very much, and I thought he played pretty good for them against a really, really good defense. And but again, it's like I told you earlier. I know what we'll get. You do watch them. They play till the very end. They're going to play for 60 minutes and play hard. They've had a change in defensive coordinator, so the defense is a little different after being really pretty solid the last couple of years. They're still a little unique, so the preparation, the preparation's a challenge, and we'll have to. And I'm sure we'll see some things a little bit different, as we seem to see every week. But again, I'm just worried about us and doing the things we have to do to go play well.
Pearson, when the running game is clicking, there's no question right now that ours is clicking. We often talk about a running back like Dominic getting into a rhythm, but he doesn't get into that rhythm unless you guys up front are doing your job. Do offensive linemen get into a quote-unquote rhythm as well?
I would say we do. It's more rather just trusting the guy next to you to do his job. If everybody's doing their job up front, then we're creating holes for Dom to hit, and then we're trusting him that he knows that we're going to do that, and we're going to create those holes, and he's going to hit them hard. Run through smoke like we've been telling our guys to do. And Dom, we did our job, and he did his job, and we got into a rhythm, he got into a rhythm, and it showed on Saturday.
Bryce, I thought you did a nice job tackling in space, and we always talk about it on the broadcast. How difficult is that to be able to do? And then overall, how do you think the defense is playing?
To answer the first question, I think that tackling in space is something we've struggled with, missed tackles this year, and I think our staff at practice, we've done a great job working on drills to help tracking and make that a little easier to make plays in space. But, defense as a whole, obviously, when you look at our day on Saturday, it's not the best day we've had, and but looking back on it, what I think is that it's hard to win games in the SoCon. And a year ago, that's a game that we lost that game. We didn't pull through. So I think, but looking at the stats here, I'm seeing a lot of the plays, touchdowns are 50-plus yards. And so something Coach Vaughn's been kind of harping on all seasons, us killing those explosive plays. And I think towards down the end of the stretch of the SoCon play, that's something, if we limit those, we'll be looking pretty solid. So,
Coach, can you speak to, obviously, everybody loves honors when they come in, but in this day and age, when Dominic gets a National Player of the Week, for example, what does that mean to the program? And, is it, because everybody, it's out there everywhere now.
Well, it really is. That costs you a good bit of money trying to get that exposure. Getting our name out there, certainly our program, our school. Dom's an incredible representative for our university. Certainly speaks volumes for lots of people. And I know personally we all take a lot of pride in it. I'm an old offensive line guy myself, so I know we take pride in being able to run the football. And I know these guys have played. I know they take a tremendous amount of pride. They've played really well all year. And, against somebody who was sold out to stop the run. And again, we know we want to continue to be balanced, but I think that's certainly great for Dom, and I think Dom's still a little bit of work in progress. I think he's still learning the being the one back kind of guy. He's been a fullback largely early in his career where he had some carries, but it was not quite the same. And I think it speaks volumes for a guy like Devin Abrams and what he's done. Having some a number of guys there that you could play to keep Dom fresh. When he needs a blow, he can come out. And I think Devin, I didn't realize he had I think he was in the 90s. And I think it's certainly great for our program. And at the end of I tell our guys at the start of the year, I have nothing with guys that want to be all conference players and all those things, because those players usually come off the better teams. So the best way to control that is to be on a good team. And again, Dom's playing at a high level, and we'll need to play down the stretch, and certainly we got some huge challenges in front of us.
Pearson, you mentioned talking about trusting the guy beside you. Well, trust isn't something that's really developed overnight. Can you talk about how that's progressed and what's been different about that trust this season than maybe opposed to previous ones?
Well, we've had our struggles in the past, running the ball, being an explosive offense, but I think on Saturday it showed up that we've been working in the offseason, in the summer, in fall camp, and just, having not a lot of depth offensive line, you got to trust the guy next to you. So that came up to play on Saturday, and it's just been a real long grind with each other, and there's just a lot of chemistry has been formed between the offensive line group and other position groups, the RBUs, quarterbacks. Just
Bryce, you're a product of Christ Presbyterian Academy. Ingle Martin, head coach. I know it's his season, your season. You ever have a chance to speak with Coach Martin here recently?
Yes, sir. Yeah, actually, I talked to him about probably a month or two ago on the phone, just catching up, asking how their season's going. He's always keeping up with the Paladins, checking in, and seeing how we're doing as well. So, yes, sir. Definitely very blessed to be from there and be at Furman as well.
Clay, it sticks out that, you had not giving up a point in the fourth quarter, and then you give up 20. And the similarity of last year's game with Western and this year's game with Western was remarkable, except that you won this one. Watching the game, Western looked like one of those teams that sort of like, give me the ball, give me the ball. They're going to score, let them score. We want the ball. I mean, it just seemed like one of the reasons that they obviously are extremely good offensively and not as the game reminded me of a Big 12 game. Why do you think that game is so different?
I don't know. I think I actually thought they had made significant progress defensively this year from a year ago, and I think even Coach Bell thought that too. Just had a little more depth. I think sometimes the nature when you do that offensively, does it affect your defense? A little bit, maybe. And they were eerily similar. I think with I know we gave up a big play late against them a year ago. I don't know. It just comes down to you just got to go make a few more plays, and I don't care what they call. We shouldn't let them throw a ball over our head. Get a PI, make it a 15-yard penalty, but don't give up a huge play. And again, I think the two offensive deals the fumble was huge. I think they had one timeout left. We knew they were going to use it after that play. And I at the time, I really didn't know what I would do. Maybe I would have just gone for it, but they'd have been out of timeouts. I think it was a 10-point game, so they got to score 2 touchdowns in probably less than 2 minutes. And then the last play, Tyler just goes the wrong way, and then compounds it with throwing the ball. They still had the timeout, that they'd had to use that series. Well, then that stops the clock in. I really think when I was looking at them in my mind, they're going to have 25 seconds to go 80 yards with no timeouts. And so it just kind of compounded there. And again, a bunch of that's just directly on us. And we're better than that. And,
You spent the whole fourth quarter needing one play to wrap it up.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's a good way to put it. And I even think on the fumble, if we didn't block the perimeter very good. If we blocked the perimeter, probably should have been a touchdown. We let a guy come underneath us out there, but still no excuse for fumble football. But again, I think we'll approach it the right way. We'll learn from it. It'll help us, going forward. And again, our guys are playing hard, and we just got to continue to clean some stuff up. I've said this, we're gonna play our best game here pretty soon. We've played really good in all phases. We just kind of hadn't been able to put it all together at the same time more often than not. And certainly this will be a good time to do it. these next 4 weeks, and got a lot of football, and we've played 7 straight. We're going to play 9 straight before we have a bye. And we're not in bad shape health-wise. Everybody's a little banged up, but I think actually we'll be a little more healthy this week than we were last, and but I think everybody's kind of that way this time of year.
Clay, I know you were really excited to add Tommy Spengler to your coaching staff because of his depth of experience. And we're seeing, among other places, really seeing his impact on special teams. You've blocked more kicks in the first 7 weeks of the season than I can remember in my 12 years here. We saw the big impact play, of course, with Wayne Anderson's 97-yard touchdown on the kickoff. Just speak to the impact he's making and what he has meant to your staff overall.
Well, these guys would tell you just I don't know, just the way he is in the meetings and our kids and how he commands their attention, and I think they have a lot of confidence in him. Certainly, I don't know. I mean, the guy's got as good a work ethic as anybody I've ever been around. How hard he works at it, preparation-wise, how organized he is, and that's certainly carried over in those areas. And certainly the return was big, the block kicks were big, and we've been really solid there. Really holds those guys accountable, and certainly what he's able to bring to the defense as well. So there's lots of times over there on Saturday, I've had a few conversations. He's been in that situation a lot before, and even the onside kick, we got to go. We practice that. We got to go fill an onside kick, and which also makes me remember, Wayne. I wish he hadn't. I didn't want to start on the 2-yard line. I think that's how we started the fourth quarter. And so it's just another one of those things. And fortunately there, I think we made a couple of first downs. We had a chance to flip the field, then we gave up big play. But it's just a lot of those little things like that we just got to continue to get better at. But Tommy's been an invaluable addition to our team.
Pearson, when you see one of the quote-unquote big uglies like Matt Sachovka blocking kicks all of a sudden, do you say, hey, I want some of that?
Well, I'm on field goal block. I'm on field goal myself, so I don't want that to happen to us. But getting out there and seeing Sachoka doing what he does best and just making plays, like he gets in the backfield a lot, makes big TFLs, big field goal blocks like that. Sometimes I'm a little jealous of him getting the limelight, but I signed up for the offensive line job, and I'm okay with where I'm at, and I love being able to see Dom run right past me. Go.
I'll tell you this, Dan. I don't know if there's a tougher job than being on that field goal team. Now if we had just a bunch of huge bodies, which we don't, but basically you're watching the ball, you're stepping down, and you're taking it, and you're getting doubled. They say you're not supposed to get triple teamed, but you're getting double teamed, and it is. And Coach talks about it. Coach, we teach them it's a 2-second fight, and you got to, if we feel like we do that, we can get the kickoff. But it is not we don't really do any live in preseason just because I don't want to take a chance of getting somebody hurt, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in there, and but it's also you don't know it till you need it, and I'm sure there's another group scratching their head a little bit about, we almost got a couple more, and we got one more, and I'm still waiting for an explanation on why that one got called back. But no, it's just, I think, credit to Matt, effort, toughness. He just embodies that in everything he does.
It's for both Bryce and Pearson. After the Sanford, every game's important, but after the Sanford game, you take it one game at a time to provide opportunity as you go down the stretch here. How difficult is it, and Bryce, start with you, to take it one game at a time and know what's in front of you?
Yeah, I think after that Sanford game, it's tough. After you lose one, now you kind of start looking, okay, so now once you drop one, you have to pretty much win out or hope for someone to lose. You never want to bank on another team losing, so you just kind of have to handle business and take it 1 week at a time. You can't look 2 weeks ahead. You have to focus on each opponent, because like I said earlier today, it's tough every game this SoCon, especially like Coach Hendricks said, we get every team's best fight. Looking to VMI this week is a place where the last time we went up there, they kind of stunned us. So I think just can't look past any opponent and go and take each week the same.
I think after the Sanford game, we came back and, looking at our offensive wise, we threw the ball over 50 times, and last Saturday we ran the ball over 50 times. So it's honestly, like Bryce was saying, going 1 week at a time. You have to go 1-0 every week, especially after losing our second conference game. We have to win out, and it's just important for us to take the good that we did in that game and translate it over and then learn from our failures that we did.
Pearson, I got to ask this question. Did you ever play any rugby growing up? And the reason I ask you is we've all seen some piles move during the game, but not one for 15 yards. I saw Coach Hendricks play as a senior. Great offensive guard, great offensive line, but he'll probably tell you they never moved a pile like that. Is that the ultimate chest-thumping moment for an offensive lineman to steamroll a defensive line like that? And not condoning any trash talking, but is that the opportunity to really kind of get it out there?
That was something I haven't seen before, honestly. Like, I hit the pile at the beginning of it, and I was like, all right, he's going to get a good extra 5 yards maybe, and then it just kept going. I was like, wow, this is something interesting. But no, I did not play rugby when I was younger. I did wrestle, though, so I'm definitely in that, low base, low central gravity standpoint, just getting under guys. But that was a sight to see, though, for sure.
Coach, not to be lost, kind of to that end with Dom's big day, but I mean, I think Devin Abrams might have had more yards after contact than Dom did.
Yeah, he did. Devin, I can say this about Devin. I've always thought Devin's one of my favorite guys, just the kind of guy he is. And, always got a smile on his face, and, man, he's a dependable guy. We talk around here a lot about, low maintenance and dependability, and he's the ultimate guy when it comes to that. But no, he really had a really good day for us. Has had a great career here, and certainly is a great compliment to Dom. And now it seemed like he used to be. I think he was the one for the most part that was doing that. So again, credit to him.
Speaking to that, I guess, well-rounded play of Dom Roberto, talk about the play design on the touchdown reception. I think that was only his 12th catch of his career, first touchdown catch, but really a nice play design, and he is a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and do some things, in the aerial game.
And quite frankly, he's got really, really good hands. He's had some catches, probably some we continue to try to maybe get him some more. But he does have really good hands, really good play call and design execution, really by everybody. I know I think we ran something similar to Clemson. I actually think we got a pass interference on a similar type call, and I know he's caught a couple of screens. But he, again, does have really good hands. Really what you want to do is try to take advantage of, it's not like people don't know he's going to get the ball, and, you try to use him in some ways to where if you can certainly play action to him, you draw some attention. Hopefully they'll create a few more opportunities for some guys. But again, he is a threat. I think that's what makes him even more valuable.
Bryce, when I look back at half a century of watching football, even when I was a kid, it seems like to me that the biggest ways that defense have changed is that, number one, people don't tackle as well, and part of that's because what you used to could do can't be done anymore. And the other thing that offsets that, and maybe is interrelated, is that players force fumbles far better. People, instead of just getting the helmet on the ball and coming loose, that's an active thing that people do, pawing at the game. And I think that maybe each of those are important, but one sort of maybe takes away the other. If you're going for the ball instead of the player, you'll miss more tackles. So you're just a spokesman for the way the game is played now, but how do you feel about that? I mean, I think it's harder to tackle because you have to worry about getting ejected or helmet-to-helmet contact. Sometimes the only way you could avoid one is if you could defy gravity if you're in the air and the receiver is too. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think obviously in our game there's a lot of really good athletes in the field, so missing tackles at time will happen, but I also think it's something as a Furman defensive player and as our defense has as a whole, I think that we've gotten extremely better at tackling throughout the weeks, and we've obviously been very productive forcing turnovers. We think we have multiple guys have forced multiple this season, so I think that as a group, that's just as the season goes on, you kind of get better at tackling, and I think that if we keep doing what we've been coached to do and keep trusting the process, I mean, also to add to this, also I was looking at the stats earlier. Furman, our defense, you don't see one guy that has 80 tackles in a season. We're more of a gang tackling defense. I think we kind of take pride in flying to the ball, and I think it's something we've done a really good job of this season.
This is for both of the players. In previous versions of this show or in some other things that we've done over the years, I've played 5 questions with players, and invariably one of the questions that I ask from time to time is, from your perspective, which coach on the staff is the most competitive and why? So I want to ask both of you guys that right now. Which coach is the most competitive and why? Pearson?
I'm honestly going to have to go with Tommy Spangler. I think he just brings an energy to the table that we haven't seen before out of this coaching staff. You know, he gets on guys really hard, but, you know, he lets them know that he cares for them, and he's putting their priorities first. He's teaching them how to do the right things. He's making sure everybody knows what their job is, and I think he's just really, like how we had so many of these field goal blocks and extra point blocks, he's just brought that competitive edge to us. And I think that's why I think he's one of the more competitive coaches.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think my answer would have to be, I think Coach Vaughn, he's kind of brought, since I've been at Furman, the competitive nature to our defense each week. I've heard it talked about in the past couple weeks. We have competition Wednesdays, turnover Tuesdays, and he's always the guy that if the defense forces turnovers, he's going to be doing up downs after practice. And, you know, I just think in every aspect he brings competition, which makes it a ton more fun for the guys around here too, especially prepping for games during the week.
Coach, what are some of the things you need to do to be successful, Zach?
Well, I think, I think offensively you need to continue to be balanced. And I know to get where we want to be a month from now, they're going to have to be continued. We're going to have to continue to show balance on there. And I think we've proven we can do that. I think just consistency, taking care of the ball. And, it was great to see some explosive plays showing up, and I think that needs to show up. We've got good enough players at every position, skill position, to do that. And then I think defensively, just again, knowing who we are, getting back to attacking, playing our style of football, creating turnovers, eliminating big plays. And again, just being really solid in special teams. Coach Spangler talked all year about making a difference. Don't just kind of be even, make a difference on special teams, and certainly that was a big part of the game Saturday. Even though there's some things we can do better, we got to kick the football better. We missed another extra point. We're punting the ball okay. We got to punt the football better. But like I said, I've seen it in all phases. I just like to see it more at the same time in all phases. And we're excited about this stretch. I think you asked a question about when you get. I think it makes it a little easier when you get later in the year to really be focused in a game by game. Sometimes you sit and think you got 7 or 8 games in front of you. It's hard to I think personally makes it a little tougher. But when you get this point, we got 4 football games. And as we tell our players, you're not even guaranteed that. You better just take this one and let's go have a great week of prep. And and it's fun to be in those kinds of games, meaningful games, and certainly the more we can win, the more meaningful they're going to get. And so we're excited about the opportunity going forward.
Final question, Coach, from your experience as a player at a high level here and as a coach and all the success you've had at different levels. And we're talking about the home stretch. You got 4 regular season games remaining in the conference and still a lot on the line. What, in your opinion, separates good teams from great teams at this time of year when there's so much still out there to play for, but the opportunities or the at-bats, quote unquote, are getting fewer and fewer?
Well, who can keep getting better? It's funny when sometimes your schedule sets up a little differently than for other teams. Maybe you've been. I feel like we've been tested pretty good. And yeah, we got some good challenges ahead of us. I understand that, but can you keep improving? And are you learning from the things you don't do well? can you build upon the things that you have done well? And, you know, and you got to be a little lucky. You got to get the old ball bounce your way a little bit, and you got to stay healthy. You know, I mean, you lose some key guys, and, you know, we have lost some guys that have hurt us, you know, not having them out there. But I think the whole key is, can we just keep doing the things that we have to do, not, you know, with the, you know, do the common tasks uncommonly well. And I think that's, for us, we didn't do that in the fourth quarter Saturday. And I think those are, because I think the things that hurt us in the fourth quarter Saturday were common tasks, you know, in the world of football and what we do. And those things we didn't do well. And if we had, you know, I thought we had a chance to completely take control of that game and dominate it. And we didn't, and that's why it kind of was a little different we wanted it to be throughout that quarter.
Bryce, you might have the most insight, but I want to ask Clay in between. If you're looking at the other team, you know their defense is taking special attention to contain Ryan Miller. But yet, he seems to always slip open, and not just routinely, but in the big plays. I mean, he makes big plays. How's he do that?
Go ahead.
Well, I would just say from my perspective, I just think when a playmaker like Ryan Miller, he's going to find a way to get open. We're going to find a way to get him the ball. And, you know, I guard him almost every day in practice, so I know how difficult that can be sometimes. But I just think when he's a player with that capability, it's going to happen for him.
Well, I think it's helped having certainly some more guys around him. I think certainly Tyler's emergence has helped us continue getting the ball. And I think the other thing probably to tell you, you know, he gets matched up on a lot of linebackers and safeties, which, you know, it's a little different. Sometimes it may be a corner that's covering him just because of the nature of the position he plays. And we line him up everywhere, so our guys have done a good job of creating opportunities for him. But, you know, he's a tough matchup for anybody, I think. And again, when you get the ball, he just seems to do something with it. He's a hard guy to tackle. I think that's the other thing people don't maybe quite realize. He's as explosive as he is, and he is a hard guy to tackle. So we're going to continue to try to get him the football as many ways as we can.
Coach, Bryce, Pearson, any final thoughts?
No, just appreciate you being here. We're excited to go head up to Virginia and play this week. I think the weather's supposed to be great. And I can't say it's always been that way when I've gone up there, but forecast looks really good, so we're excited to go play.
We will remind our fan base that, again, the kickoff is at 1:30 p.m. from Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia. It will be a 1:30 kick on the ESPN family of streaming networks, and our local broadcast radio-wise on the Fan Upstate will hit the air at noon with the Pepsi countdown to kickoff. So we hope if you can't make the trip, you'll tune in there and see how the Paladins can perform in this next road trip. Coach Clay Hendricks, Pearson Toomey, Bryce McCormick, thank you for joining us. Thank you, fans, and we will see you again next time. I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody. This has been a Hunter Reed and Jeff Schetzel production.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Good job.